The most exciting thing I have ever done is to have an affair with my girlfriend's best friend in the room next to hers. These two people, one is as gentle as water, and the other is as passionate as fire, making me unable to stop. How I wish I could have them both forever. However, women's possessiveness is always a headache. Her best friend actually wanted me to break up with my girlfriend and be with her openly. Otherwise, she would give the video of the two of us to my girlfriend. No, absolutely not. So I planned to kill her. My girlfriend's name is Naomi. When I first met her, I didn't expect that I would go so far with her. At that time, she was the new financial officer of the company. She was very beautiful and young, and soon became the focus of everyone's attention. But she looks like an icy beauty. A male colleague bought her some milk tea, but she returned it unopened. When eating, she always sits alone in the corner. Even the flowers someone sent her anonymously would be thrown into the trash. Within a few days, the restless hearts of the men in the company lost their enthusiasm. But I didn't feel lucky about it. Instead, I feel anxious all day long. Naomi works very seriously, and I secretly observe her in the office. Even for simple reimbursements, she has to check them several times. In this case, I am very worried about whether there will be any problems during the year-end review next month. I cursed the former financial officer Xiao Zhao 800 times in my heart, but it was of no use. We previously took advantage of some loopholes in the company and made 8 million. He split the profit with me 70 to 30. Originally, these accounts would be completely sealed after the year-end review next month. No one will mention it in the future, and it will happen secretly, and no one will ever know about it. I'm afraid no one will ever know about it. But this guy suddenly resigned 1 month ago, saying that something happened at home. I contacted him and found out that the bastard had lost all that money and was in debt. It seems that we really can't keep him in the company. If the debt collectors come and make trouble, and other things get involved, we'll all be finished. So now, I can only find a way to get through this by myself. The key right now is how to deal with Naomi. It would definitely not work to confront her directly. She doesn't seem like someone who can be bribed. The company pays well and is located in the CBD, where many of the people who come here are sophisticated white-collar workers. But her clothes and expenses are very ordinary, which shows that she is not a vain person. I asked around and found out that she is single and doesn't seem to have any concerns at home. But despite so many young people trying to please her, she didn't respond at all, which shows that she is not someone who can't stand loneliness. I was confused. What did she need? How could I control her? I firmly believe that people can never be a rock. There must be something that can move her. Fortunately, this opportunity came not long after. Once when I was on a business trip with her. On the high-speed train, I found her sitting next to me reading a romance novel. I even turned my head and accidentally discovered that her eyes were red. When she saw me seeing her, she quickly wiped her eyes and smiled at me embarrassedly. Although I have been in love for a long time, this smile still made me feel a little distracted. I keenly realized that this was her true self, with her guard down. Handing over a tissue, I joked. I never thought that the company's icy beauty would also melt. She closed the book with a hint of arrogance. Who said I was an iceberg beauty? I glanced at the title and teased her. So many ambitious young people in the company have been courting you, but you remain indifferent. It seems that I have found the secret, and I can sell it for a good price when I go back. Naomi crossed her arms, turned her head, and stared at me with a smile, expressing her dissatisfaction. At this moment, a person passed by in the aisle carrying a bowl of freshly soaked noodles. Somehow he tripped, and the boiling water in the instant noodles spilled out. I was sitting near the window, and when I saw that person swaying, I subconsciously put my arm around Naomi's shoulders. The scalding water splashed on my hand, turning it red instantly, and I grimaced in pain. The man apologized repeatedly, and of course I graciously said forget it in front of Naomi. Naomi immediately took my hand, took out a wet wipe from her bag, and started blowing and wiping it. I saw that she was nervous and serious, but I just said, "He soiled your books. You should ask him to compensate you with one. You still feel like joking at this time?" She scolded me, and there seemed to be an apologetic and distressed look on her face. "Thank you so much for what you did just now." I saw the light blush on her cheeks, and suddenly my heart moved. Maybe there will be an unexpected surprise this time. After arriving at the hotel, Naomi knocked on my door shortly afterwards. She bought some ointment for burns and wanted to help me apply it. I said I was fine, it was just a small problem and would be healed soon. She didn't listen and said that there were already blisters, and if they were not treated, they would leave scars. I laughed and told her that it was also my medal for being a hero and saving a beautiful woman. We went to handle business in the afternoon, and the other company insisted on taking us out for dinner. Drinking is inevitable in business social events. Naomi whispered in my ear not to drink because it was bad for the wound. Her breath hit my ears and made me feel itchy. I know it very well, and I can't afford to give in now. So I drank one cup after another, accepting all that came my way. She was a little anxious and told the other person that she had just burned her hands and could not drink too much. Once the atmosphere at the table gets lively, no one would care about such excuses. The other party said, "Then why don't you drink it for Director Song?" Naomi tilted her head back and drank it in one gulp. but her face turned red immediately, and she was a little shaky and couldn't stand steadily. After the social event, I declined their invitation for the second show and took Naomi back to the hotel. She was already staggering, so I helped her back to the room. As soon as she entered the room, she went to the toilet and vomited. But fortunately, my clothes were not dirty. I got her some water so she could rinse her mouth, then helped her back to bed, took off her coat and shoes, and covered her with a quilt. Sitting beside her bed, I laughed at her for trying to be brave even though she couldn't drink. Her eyes were blurry with drunkenness, and she murmured that she had caused me a lot of trouble this time. I said it was okay. Most people don't have this honor. If she wants to trouble me, she can do it anytime and anywhere in the future. She suddenly grabbed my hand, and something seemed to flash in her eyes. But in the end, I still said thank you. I leaned over and said, "If you really want to thank me, please treat me to a meal when you get back." She said, "Okay." I turned off the light, left the room, and went back to my room. I took a cold shower and calmed down. I never claimed to be a gentleman, but Naomi's case is not as simple as just having a good time. I must be sure to capture her completely, otherwise if it backfires, I'll be completely finished. I have gradually found a way to win her over. All I have to do is go back and strike while the iron is hot. After all, she is a little girl. Believe me, this time, you can get both the woman and the money. After returning, Naomi indeed regained her image of an icy beauty. But I also noticed that she started to treat me differently. When she gets the water, she will pour a glass for me as well. Occasionally, fruits or snacks would appear on my desk. I sent her a message, "Thank you for the feed." She would give me a very cute expression in return. "Very good. That's it. Simmer slowly on low heat first, and then kill it with one blow." After a few days, others couldn't see any changes. But Naomi and I were already having a lively chat privately. After work that day, I saw her staying alone and still dealing with some things. So I found some excuses to work overtime. It was almost 8 o'clock in the evening when she finally finished her work. When she got up, she found that the light in my office was also on. When no one is around in the company, her attitude becomes more relaxed and playful. "Why didn't you leave?" "Waiting for someone." The atmosphere suddenly became ambiguous. She paused, then asked me with a guilty and shy tone, "Who are you waiting for?" I remember. There seems to be someone who owes me a meal, right?" She smiled and glared at me with her big eyes in reproach. "Let's go. Today is worse than tomorrow. What do you want to eat?" When we were leaving, I tentatively pulled her hand, and she didn't refuse. So I took her hand and got in the car. While eating, I took out something beautifully packaged from my bag. "I gave it to you, but I can't eat your food for free." She opened it and saw that it was the dirty book on the train. Naomi is not a materialistic girl, so I think this gift should touch her heart even more. Sure enough, there was a light in her eyes that had never been there before. She admitted that many boys had given her gifts, but she returned them all, because they didn't know what she wanted. I asked her, "Is this what you wanted?" She held the book in her hand and looked at it for a while, then put it into her bag. "Thank you. I like it very much. The rest is simple." She opened up and talked about her past. She said her father died very early, and her mother remarried and took her with her, but she also passed away when she was just in junior high school. As a young girl, she lived with her stepfather, being cautious and fearful. That's why he has become the kind of person he is today, who doesn't dare let anyone get close to him easily. After listening to her story, I finally understood her whole psychology. It seems that she has indeed suffered a lot, and even I can't help but feel a little distressed. However, once I get such a person, he will be devoted to me. So I said, "All that is in the past, and I will never let you get hurt again." Her breathing was rapid. I could almost hear her heartbeat. She didn't say anything, but she didn't struggle to free her hand from mine. I'm not in a hurry. I'll let her fully accept it, and then I'll talk to her about it after a while so it doesn't seem so utilitarian. When I went back home at night, I didn't know whether I was unlucky or lucky. When I was walking home with her, I actually met a few drunk hooligans. The gangster whistled and said to the beauty, "Don't go." I held her hand and told her not to look back. A drunken yellow-haired man came over and pulled her. I took her behind me. The gangster pushed me and cursed at me. I kicked him down, then dragged Naomi and ran for my life. We ran to her house in one breath. The two men leaned against the wall, gasping for breath. After a long moment, she and I looked at each other, and we both started laughing. I said, "I told you I won't let you get hurt again." She hugged me and gave me a passionate and lingering kiss. I didn't go home that night. It was natural for us to be together. What happened next happened exactly as I had envisioned. No matter how strong she pretends to be, once a girl like Naomi falls in love, she is like a drowning person who can't swim and cannot extricate herself. I try different ways to make her happy every day. All the cliched tricks of youth work well on her. More than 2 weeks later, one day, she suddenly asked for leave in the afternoon and left the company early. I sent her a message asking her what she was doing. She said it was a secret and just asked me to go to her house at night. In fact, how could I not know that today marks our 1-month anniversary together? But I pretended not to know and secretly ordered a bouquet of flowers and bought a ring. When I arrived at her house in the evening, I knocked on the door, and she appeared in front of me in her best dress. I looked at the table of food and the unlit candles behind her and pretended to be surprised. Taking out the flowers behind me, I said, I thought I was the only one who remembered that today was our 1-month anniversary together. The most romantic thing in love is when two people silently prepare surprises for each other. But for me, the fact that Naomi would take time off to prepare for this day means that in her heart, I am more important than work. Then that thing can start. During the candlelight dinner, I took out the ring I had prepared. Accompanied by a few sensational words, Naomi's tears really flowed like free money. I deliberately set a trap at this time. I said I know you don't care about this kind of thing, but you must accept it, because in the future, no matter what happens, I hope you can remember me. Remember that I loved you sincerely. She smiled through her tears and asked me why I was acting so strange today, as if we were going to be separated forever. I smiled and said nothing, only saying that I wanted to give you something else tomorrow. Now is not the time to show your hand. It would seem too deliberate. So the next day, I took her to a used car market and transferred the BMW under my name to her. Naomi refused to accept it at first. She asked me what this was for. I pretended to think carefully about my words. I said, due to some special reasons, I can't give you more for the time being. But in case something happens to me and I can't be with you in the future, this car can at least accompany you on my behalf and protect you from wind and rain. She was a little angry and said, James, what's the matter with you? Do you still treat me as an outsider? Is there anything we can't face together? Very good, it all worked out. I thought it over again, and then had to compromise. I promised her that after the car was transferred, I would go home and tell her everything. After returning home, she pulled me to the sofa and asked me very seriously what had happened. I let out a long sigh and had to tell him the whole story. Of course, I won't say that I was the mastermind behind all those things. I just said that I received a call from Sonny a few days ago, and he had been forced into a desperate situation and asked me to help him. Only then did I know that he had previously embezzled 8 million yuan of public funds for gambling and lost all the money. The year-end review is coming soon, and I can't hide this. I will definitely be implicated. Naomi's face immediately darkened. As a financial officer, she must be aware of the pros and cons involved. Let's talk things out, can't we? It's Sonny's fault. Why should you take the blame for him? I smiled bitterly. Sonny has given up now. What else can I do? As his former leader, how can I not be at fault for such a big thing? Besides, he can't explain many things once he opens his mouth. Naomi was silent, with a hesitant look on her face constantly changing. I played my last card. Guang only blames me for finding out about this too late. Otherwise, even if I knew I couldn't avoid it, I wouldn't want to give you a start without a future. Sorry. As expected, she showed a determined look. James, it's okay. I'll help you with this. You? I tried my best to suppress the ecstasy in my heart. No, it's too dangerous. It will implicate you as well. You still have a bright future ahead of you. No, James, it's okay. I am mainly responsible for the year-end review, so as long as I pretend not to see it, the matter will be over. I have looked through the company's rules and regulations, and after sealing them this time, I will almost never look at them again. Besides, this matter has nothing to do with me. At most, I am responsible for negligence, but it cannot implicate me. If I refuse it this time, it would seem too pretentious. So I pretended to think about it, and then held her hand tightly. Are you really willing to take such a big risk for me? She smiled and comforted me. It's okay. I told you, I won't be implicated in any way. Guang. Okay, if I can escape safely this time, I will definitely protect you for the rest of my life. When the sensitive period is over, you can resign, we can get married, and I can take care of you every day. All kinds of promises and sugar-coated bullets came out of my mouth as if they were free. Naomi hugged me tightly and told me not to hide anything from her anymore and that she would face it together with me. In the next half-month, Naomi and I had become an underground couple. I asked her to give up the house and move to my house. The year-end review went through very smoothly. This matter has come to an end, and as long as no one mentions it, I will be completely safe. It only took me a little over a month to buy the ring and my car. The car was not worth much since it was secondhand, so its value was only about 100,000 yuan. For me, spending such a small amount of money to settle an $8 million matter is such a great bargain. What's more, I got a young and beautiful girlfriend for free. If you use this money to pick up girls, I'm afraid it can only buy you a few nights of passion. But regarding marrying Naomi, I just mentioned it verbally. I have money and status, but I never thought I would hang myself on a tree in this life. But we can't rush this matter. We have to take it slow, at least so as not to cause Naomi to be disgusted. Unexpectedly, Naomi gave me another big gift. That day, when I got home, I found that there was a new guest at home, her best friend, Lola. Naomi told me about Lola. She said that Lola had a completely different personality from her, but for some reason, they became best friends. If Naomi is as gentle as water, then Lola is made of fire. Her carefree personality, familiar tone, and every bit of her being reveal this. Even her figure is hot. This made me, who was used to eating Naomi's vegetarian dishes, suddenly smell the smell of meat. The first time I met her, Lola snatched my bag from my hands. You are James, right? Naomi has been talking to me about him for a long time, and this time I finally saw his true face, and he is indeed a handsome guy. If Naomi hadn't gotten there first, I would have definitely not let you go. The first words she said to me shocked me. Before I could stammer and ask her what was going on, she had already pushed me into the restaurant. She put her hands on my shoulders and asked me to sit down. The smell of his body instantly came into my nose. She half leaned over, her hair brushing my ear, and said that I was lucky today, as the two sisters would join forces to cook, and tonight I would see whose dish was better. I don't know if she really speaks so bluntly, or if she is deliberately hiding some hint in her words. My body was so tense that I dared not move. I was afraid that if I turned my head, I would fall into a bottomless ravine. After Naomi came out, my embarrassment was finally resolved. She told me not to take it seriously, that Lola just liked to joke around. Since we hadn't been together for a long time, I invited her to my house for dinner. By the way, it also arranged for the two most important people in her to meet. I just kept responding, Naomi, not daring to look around. But out of the corner of my eye I saw Lola looking at me unscrupulously. In the evening, we opened a bottle of red wine. Naomi can't drink much, so it was just Lola and I drinking together. Lola said that she planned to settle down in this city in the future and asked Naomi if she would take her in. Of course, Naomi happily agreed and glanced at me. Naturally, I nodded in welcome and said that there was an empty room in the house and I could stay there for a while if necessary. Lola was drunk and asked, "Aren't you afraid that I'll steal your boyfriend?" Naomi chuckled, "What's mine is yours. If you want it, just take it." The two girls were teasing each other, making me look like an innocent little boy, so I had to eat in embarrassment. After dinner, they cleaned up the table and I went downstairs to throw away the garbage. After throwing away the garbage and walking in the community, I lit a cigarette and sat on a bench. I don't know what will change with Lola's sudden arrival today. For a moment, I seemed to be unable to see through this person. At this moment, I looked up and suddenly found that Lola had come down at some point and was standing in front of me. I greeted her politely, and she said she just came down to take a walk and get some fresh air to get rid of the smell of alcohol. Then she sat down next to me and asked me for a cigarette. I lit the fire for her, and she took a deep breath and let out a long breath. I broke up with my boyfriend, and now I have nowhere to go. I need to stay here for a while. She suddenly confessed. I was a little surprised. Her personality is so different from Naomi's. I don't know how they could become best friends. But I just nodded and agreed. Naomi had just resigned and had nothing to do now, so it would be nice to have someone to accompany her. James, I know you're not a good person. The second time she spoke, I was startled and was about to say that she was drunk. I have seen a lot of men, and I can tell at a glance. I won't tell Naomi, but don't do anything stupid outside. If you really can't hold it back. She didn't say anything else and looked at me meaningfully. All of a sudden, I had a very strange feeling. Although I wasn't sure at the time whether this was her nature or she was testing me on purpose. But from a man's perspective, I suddenly felt something surging in my body, and I actually had a sense of anticipation. But on the surface, I just smiled and said you were really drunk. I went home with Lola. Naomi seemed to have gotten used to her bestie's weird behavior and didn't ask us anything. At night, I asked Naomi for sex. She whispered, Lola hasn't gone to bed yet. I heard the sound of water splashing in the bathroom outside. After tossing and turning, I got up and went to the living room to drink some water. But I happened to see Lola coming out of the bathroom in her pajamas. She smiled at me, put her finger to her mouth as a silent gesture, and went back to her room. I couldn't sleep that night. At the beginning, I deliberately kept my distance from Lola, because I really don't know what she is thinking. But over time, no man can resist the temptation of his prey. What's more, I am not a vegetarian cat. When I was shopping with Naomi, Lola was there too. Naomi held my arm, and Lola exaggeratedly said that we bullied her. She also put her arm around my other arm and pressed her body against me. I asked Naomi for help. She just giggled and said it was a rare opportunity for me to enjoy the happiness of having two wives. Passers-by looked at me in surprise, but I felt great satisfaction in my vanity from their jealous eyes. With two beauties on both sides, which man would not lose himself? I hinted at Naomi at night. When asked if this was inappropriate, Lola said she acted boldly, but there are differences between men and women after all. Naomi told me not to think like that, saying that Lola has always had a boyish personality, so she was the one who protected herself when she was in school. With her words, I knew what was going on. Lola often made some bold little moves intentionally or unintentionally, and I began to respond to her. For example, when Naomi asked Lola to go shopping for groceries during breaks, she would take me along and hold my hand as we went out. She even blatantly told Naomi to lend it to her boyfriend. I was no longer shy at this point, and we went out laughing, but we both kept our hands together tacitly. It seems to be only a matter of time before the window paper is broken. Finally, one time when Naomi was washing up, I went to the public bathroom outside to use the toilet. As soon as I opened the bathroom door, I found that Lola had just changed into her barely there pajamas. My heart was burning with anger, and I used my remaining sanity to whisper and sorry, then turned and left. But soon, I was grabbed by a slender hand from behind. You've seen it all, and you want to leave after eating it all? Her breath was on my neck. I turned around, not knowing where to put my hands. I gasped. How can I eat everything? If you put it that way, it would be a waste if I don't do anything. She raised her eyes. Why don't you try it? At that moment, my defenses completely collapsed. I pushed her against the bathroom wall and kissed her passionately. I didn't let Lola go until Naomi shouted in the room that she was fine. Lola gently wiped the traces on my mouth with her fingers and made a gesture to me to keep quiet. She looked up at me and smiled, then lowered her head and slipped back to the guest room. My heart was beating like a drum, and I felt as if I had lost my soul. From then on, there was no longer any rift between Lola and me. We seized every opportunity when Naomi was not around, at home and in the car, to let ourselves go wild. There was even one time when Naomi felt drowsy after taking medicine for a cold. She was resting in her room when Lola suddenly appeared in the living room. She pulled my tie and led me to her room. I said, "Are you crazy? She's right next door." But Lola blocked my mouth and breathed sweet words into my ear. Isn't this more exciting? Adrenaline and hormones surged, overwhelming my rationality. I was just separated from Naomi by a wall, and I was doing crazy things with her bestie, covering our mouths. Even though I know it's dangerous, men are born adventurers. This feeling of excitement is completely incomparable to the usual pleasure-seeking, and it makes me unable to stop. I even have some hope that if days like this could continue forever, it would be wonderful. But life is always unpredictable. I underestimated women's possessiveness, just as Naomi underestimated men's desire. After a secret affair with Lola, she suddenly asked me, "Will you marry Naomi?" I didn't know what she wanted to say, but I had a bad feeling subconsciously. I hesitated and said that I had promised her before. Lola smiled. "Did you promise her to be devoted to her?" I was speechless and had to ask her what she meant. Lola said lightly, "I'm pregnant." My mind suddenly buzzed and exploded. The long-lost rationality instantly returned to my brain. After thinking for a moment, I told Lola that it was not possible now because there was something going on between Naomi and I, so she couldn't know for the time being. I said I could give you money and let you live a good life, but it would be better not to keep the child now. Lola burst out laughing and said she was just joking with me. Look how nervous I was. Only then did I wipe the sweat from my forehead. Although it was just a false alarm, it made me alert. This won't work. Who knows when it will become true? I began to distance myself from Lola and distance myself from her again, and began to think seriously about how to get out of these two people. Of course she could sense that I was deliberately avoiding her, but she didn't say anything and continued to tease me as usual. I don't want to push her too far, but I can't cut off all my secret relationships with her at once. So occasionally, I would still be affectionate with her and delay time. But she is not Naomi. One day she said to me, "You are avoiding me." I said, "How could that be? I think the way things are now is pretty good." But she said she was tired of it and didn't want to go on like this. I asked her tentatively, "What are you going to do? Marry me?" I was overwhelmed again and didn't dare to refuse her directly, so I said that Naomi was her best friend. She smiled bitterly. Who made me love someone I shouldn't love? I feel even more miserable because I have gone too far in playing with fire. Although I gained great satisfaction, this problem is not something I can solve right now. I told her that the time was not right yet, and that I would discuss it with her after I had slowly figured out a solution. She took out her cell phone and smiled. "Guang, is this how you lied to Naomi? If you can't make up your mind, I'll help you. I have some wonderful videos on my phone. I believe Naomi will make a choice after watching them." My face fell completely, and I snatched her phone. Not to mention the videos in it. Even if it was just a photo, I absolutely could not let Naomi see it. I was so angry that I wanted to smash her phone. "If you want to smash it, go ahead. Anyway, do you think I don't have a backup?" I suppressed my anger and asked her what she wanted. If she wanted money, I could give her some, but she wanted to leave completely. Lola came over and hugged me. "James, I thought I would never love again a man. I'm sorry, and I don't mean to be so selfish, but I really can't bear it anymore and share you with others." She cried and told me that she could only give me another week, and either I broke up with Naomi and be with her, or we would both die together. I let out a long sigh. Now is not the time to be angry. I had to comfort her and said that I understood, but I needed to sort it out and see how to end it best. That day, I smoked half a pack of cigarettes and thought hard. It seems that the last time she told me false information about her pregnancy, she had already started testing me. After she found out that I was distancing myself from her, she knew my choice, so she just laid her cards on me. I definitely cannot tell Lola about what happened before. The fewer people who know about it, the better. I don't dare to hand the handle to her again. But now that I broke up with Naomi so hastily, and even because of Lola, I absolutely dare not bet that she will turn all her previous feelings into hatred. I have finally solved all the problems and achieved the success and wealth I have today. I still have a bright future ahead of me. I cannot let it be tied up by two women, and I cannot watch it being destroyed. So after thinking about it, it seems that there is only one way for me to kill Lola. If possible, maybe Naomi's problem can be solved at the same time. I read a lot of books, looking for ways to kill people. Finally, I got inspiration from a TV series. Any murder method that claims to be a perfect crime will ultimately be difficult to escape police pursuit. Besides, I'm not some real serial killer. Only an accident, with no trace left, can completely and secretly kill a person. For a week, Lola didn't press me again. But I don't think she'll give up. So I resumed my usual frequency of having an affair with her to give her hope and let her let down her guard. I quietly told Lola that I was planning to take her on a trip to the suburbs alone next week. Doesn't she want to live a life with me? We can experience it, and, by the way, discuss how to confront Naomi. And I would like to say that I have never experienced the thrill of having the sky as my blanket and the ground as my bed. So we go to the mountains where there are not many people now and enjoy being one with nature. As expected, she agreed excitedly. A woman in love just doesn't have much brains. It's not like I haven't thought about asking Naomi to join us, and then we can just end it together. But if there are too many people, there will be too many variables. Besides, it's exactly the same as what was shown in the TV series. I don't know if they have seen it and whether they will be alert. I told Naomi that I had to go on a business trip for the next 2 days and would not be back at night, so I asked her to wait for me at home. Lola found an excuse to go out a day later to avoid my time, mainly so as not to arouse Naomi's suspicion afterwards. In the end, whether Lola disappears or is found dead unexpectedly, Naomi will definitely be depressed. I will add fuel to the fire. Naomi is with me and will think of Lola all the time. She will feel that she has not taken good care of her and will be tormented. This is not a difficult thing for me, and given Naomi's personality, she will most likely choose to quit and forget about it. With just a little time, soon, everything will naturally become a thing of the past forever. I was very pleased with my plan. I have also been there. It is still winter, the scenery is bleak, and there are very few tourists visiting the scenic spots in the mountains. I had arrived there the day before and pitched my tent on a platform not far from the summit. There are indeed people camping here during the peak season, which is not surprising to Lola. But now the mountain wind is so strong that naturally there is no one here. In order to avoid being seen going into the mountains with Lola, I need to endure this night. I took the village path that was not at the gate of the scenic area, because the ticket to the scenic area was not expensive and it was the off-season, so the management was not strict at all. I told Lola that I would wait for her here and play a treasure hunt game with her to see if we were destined to meet. This way, no one would know that I had been here and would just think that Lola went up the mountain alone. Lola has no relationship with me in any records, let alone any interests involved. Even if the police investigate, I am at most her best friend's boyfriend and the landlord. I even arranged my business trip itinerary at the company, so unless you look into it, my alibi is sufficient. In the end, all I had to do was delete the chat history in her phone, or even just throw the phone away, and it wouldn't arouse anyone's suspicion. As for why she came here, it's very simple. I would use her circle of friends to post a message expressing my longing for my ex-boyfriend and my confusion about life. Anyway, she often posts some non-specific emotional quotes, so doesn't this just connect the dots? Whether it was suicide or an accidental result, it was her own choice. I sat on the boulder at the top of the mountain and reviewed it all again in my mind. After making sure everything was safe, he lit a cigarette. After tomorrow, a huge shackle on me will be completely removed. By the way, don't forget to dispose of these cigarette butts when the time comes to deal with them, so as not to cause unnecessary trouble. Mr. Song, you are here. Just as I was daydreaming, a familiar voice suddenly broke my beautiful dream. My pupils shrank as an unexpected person climbed up to the platform on the top of the mountain. Sonny, what brought you here? Alarm bells started ringing in my heart. Mr. Song, how are you? You are so cool and relaxed, and you have the leisure to come to the mountain to enjoy the scenery. How on earth did you know I was here? Many possibilities flashed through my mind, and the only one who knew that I was coming to this place was Lola. But she didn't know I would come today, and I didn't even send her the specific location where we could play games. Sonny laughed. Mr. Song, don't panic. I went to the company to wait for you. Later, when I saw you leaving, I followed you. I wanted to find a quiet place to catch up with you, but I didn't expect you to be so elegant that you actually came to this mountain. That's even better, no one will disturb us. It turns out that he was following me. As long as it's not related to Lola, that's good. I feel relieved. But soon, I became nervous again. You went to the company to see me? No, I'm black now, so of course it's not easy for me to show up. I'm just watching quietly. No one knows. Don't worry, Mr. Song. What do you want from me? Why didn't you call me instead of following me? I asked him cautiously. Sonny scratched his head and looked troubled. I didn't call Mr. Song. Of course, there are some things that are difficult to talk about over the phone. Some things are better to talk about face to face. We will feel less burdened. I had already vaguely guessed what he was going to say, and my face turned cold. What do you want from me? Mr. Song, I'm in such a hurry and need your help. I was furious. You've already taken your share. Why are you looking for me? I know, Mr. Song, but I really have no choice. They said that if I don't pay you back, they will chop off my hands. I don't want my hands to be chopped off, Mr. Song. Please help me. I would rather go to jail than have my hands chopped off. You're threatening me? Damn it. I told you not to gamble. Mr. Song, I know I was wrong. If you help me this time, I will never gamble again and will never bother you again. I promise to keep the secret to myself. I had mixed feelings. Damn it, at this critical moment, something like this happened again. But looking at Sonny's current state, he is no different from a useless person. He will really do anything to save his life. How much do you want? I asked him through gritted teeth. 5 million, Mr. Song, 5 million is enough. You have a bright future for sure. Fuck you. I was so angry that I slapped Sonny in the face. 5 million, that almost took out all of my share. So, have I been worried for so long and done so many things just to help this bastard? Sonny rubbed his face and didn't fight back. He walked in front of me and revealed his true face. Guang James, if you want to hit me, just hit me. 2 slaps can be exchanged for 5 million, then it's worth it for me, Sun Gang. But think about it carefully. I am already dead, but you have a bright future. I am taking this money to go abroad to avoid debt. What about you? Either you go back to being your boss and enjoy the good life. Either you or I can stay in jail together. I won't be shabby if you accompany me. Now that he has said this, he has completely broken off relations with me. Now to say I have no regrets would be a lie. But what's the use of regretting? Everything has been done. What I have to consider now is whether or not to do things to the extreme. Who made him ask for such a huge amount? Who made him come not earlier or later, but just when I had made all preparations? This kind of gambler, this rotten life, maybe God should take it away. I pretended to think it over, then asked him with a sullen face. How can you guarantee that this will be the last time? When Sonny heard there was a chance, he immediately went back to his previous servile behavior. Mr. Guangsong, this is definitely the last time. I, Sun Gang, am not an unreasonable person. I know that you have given me everything you have, so you are my, Sun Gang's, second parents. No matter how much of a jerk I am, I can never force you to death. As soon as I get the money, I will leave immediately and will never appear in front of you again. I knew I couldn't agree to him right away, otherwise it would be too fake. I deliberately got angry and scolded him severely. He kept his head down and didn't refute, just listened to me scolding. Finally, I sighed. Damn it, I've lost my life to you. If you dare to let me see you again, I won't let you go even if it means my life or death. No, Mr. Song, absolutely not. He was so happy that he was about to burst into laughter. I said, I don't have that much cash on hand right now, so I'll give him 1 million first, and I'll raise the rest. This is definitely much more believable than if I agreed to him right away. Sonny thought about it and said, Okay, Mr. Song, I believe you. I asked him to give me his account number. Then I opened the mobile banking app and entered it in and asked him to check if there were any problems. Sonny had completely let his guard down. I said I wanted to redeem some funds and asked him to wait a moment. He rubbed his hands. A look of delight appeared on his face, and he secretly glanced at my operations. I took a cigarette from the box and lit it, then gave him one. While cursing, You bastard, I treated you as a brother, but you fucking hurt me like this. Sonny suppressed his smile and nodded continuously. I'm a bastard. I'm nothing. He held out his hand for the cigarette. In a split second, I pulled him over and pushed him down the mountain. In fact, people's reaction is that they can't even shout when they just fall. Just a moment later, I heard a sound like something heavy falling to the ground at the foot of the mountain. Lying prone on the jutting boulder, I couldn't see any traces underneath. However, if he fell from this height, even if he was a cat, he would definitely lose his 9 lives. I looked around to make sure there was no one. Sonny is gone. Only then did I feel a strong sense of fear. I killed someone. My heart was beating so hard that it seemed to be trying to break free from my chest. I picked up my phone and tried to exit the banking interface, but I couldn't find the location no matter how many times I tried. He took out a cigarette, but his hand was shaking so badly that he tried countless times to light the cigarette. The wind blew for half an hour on the top of the mountain. I finally calmed down again. I don't regret killing Sonny. Ever since he became addicted to gambling, he has been a time bomb, and I don't believe his lies about the last time. He hadn't called me or threatened me before. I believe he was really just coming for me, and no one else should know that he and I have any connection. Therefore, his death has nothing to do with me. It's not surprising that a compulsive gambler committed suicide because of debt collection. I felt lucky to meet him here, and all my preparations became for him. It's just that Lola's plan has to be postponed. Otherwise, 2 accidents happened here in succession, and it would be too obvious that I was the intersection. Although Lola is not easy to deal with either, dealing with a woman is much easier than dealing with a gambler. At worst, I can just spend more time and coax her a little more and put it off for a few months. After calming down, I sent Lola a message, telling her that something unexpected happened at the company and the outing plan had to be postponed. Then I packed up everything, cleaned up the trail, and quickly returned down the mountain. But what surprised me was that Lola, who was always very active in replying to my messages, did not respond at all until I walked to the parking spot more than 2 kilometers away from the foot of the mountain. I got in the car, turned on my phone, and looked at the same chat interface as 3 hours ago. I don't know if it's because of what I just did, but I feel a little uneasy and irritated. What if she didn't see that she had already set off? No, she doesn't know the exact location yet, and today is not the agreed time. But why didn't she reply me? Doesn't this stupid woman always reply within seconds? Is she up to something weird again? I wanted to call her, but I was afraid she was with Naomi. After hesitating for a long time, a feeling of depression rose up in my heart. I slammed my phone and thought, forget it. Nothing is more important than breaking up with Sunny first. Just as I started the car, I suddenly noticed something falling out of the lanyard of the phone case. I was a little curious why there was a round hole on the lanyard. Then I picked up a black bead the size of a marble from the car. At the bottom of the bead, there is a small hole that looks like a power socket. I remembered that this cell phone strap was bought for me by Lola 2 days ago. She said, since I used the phone case Naomi bought for me, I should use the lanyard she bought for me. I stared at the bead, and suddenly my heart started beating wildly, and I almost suffocated with fear. Rushed home at lightning speed. I kept cursing and comforting myself along the way. No, it's impossible. How could there be such a big scam in the world? Even if there is, it wouldn't be targeting me. What do I have that is worth such a big game? I have more than 5 million that I can't show to the public. My scalp was tingling and I was sweating profusely. After rushing back home, I found that the house was empty. All traces of Naomi and Lola disappeared, as if they had never been there. I collapsed to the ground. Looking back now, I realized that everything was so coincidental and went so smoothly. After Sunny suddenly resigned, the icy beauty Naomi appeared. The ice that no one could melt was easily conquered by me. With her best friend, who is completely different from her, she trusts me unconditionally. The fundamental reason why Lola forced me to get married was that I had difficulties that I couldn't express. When I had no choice and was ready, Sunny, the culprit, finally showed up. This is an impeccable closed loop. Maybe from the moment they discovered the secret between Sunny and me, I was destined to be the lamb to be slaughtered, and Sunny was destined to be the scapegoat. They didn't threaten me directly with secrets because the leverage was not enough, and there was a possibility that both sides would be destroyed. And now, I no longer have the courage to fight back. No, I still have some. With a glimmer of hope, I smashed the bead open. But the electronic components inside shattered my last hope. I found the exact same thing on the dark web. This is a monitor with real-time recording function. I stayed at home, waiting for the final judgment. A day later, I received a letter which said, "Hello, Mr. Chun. I just experienced an accident and had to come to you. Many years ago, my partner and I made a fortune. As a result, the stupid partner showed off everywhere and was targeted by scammers. After the partner's money was defrauded, he still owed a debt. I don't know who instigated my partner to come to me and ask for money. In a fit of rage, I beat up my partner. In order to prevent my partner from calling the police to hold me responsible, I had no choice but to take care of him for the rest of his life. But now, I am penniless and owe 5 million in foreign debt. I remember helping you many years ago. If you pity me and are willing to help me, I will be very grateful. My bank account is XXXXXX, and I need to pay back the debt in 3 days. I have no choice. Whether I can survive 3 days depends on your mercy. By the way, this address is the one you gave me many years ago. I don't know if you still live there now. If the address is wrong and you are not Mr. Chun, I'm sorry to bother you. Please burn this letter. It's of no use keeping it. It might even bring you trouble. Finally, I still miss the time we spent together. Your old friend, Feng Long." After reading the letter, I was so angry that my teeth almost broke. Naomi and Lola's phones had long been turned off. Now, even this blackmail letter has been completely distanced from them. I transferred the money and the recipient had nothing to do with them. I did everything voluntarily and I don't have any leverage over them. Even if I tried my best to track them down and find them, they could just say they discovered the affair between Lola and me and run away in anger. But in the end, as the letter implied, I had no choice, no room for bargaining. I didn't sleep a wink all night. In the end, there was still no choice. Even if I turn myself in, even if I tell you everything. Apart from leaving me penniless and in jail, I couldn't hurt them at all. I suddenly remembered what Naomi had said repeatedly. She said, "I'm fine. The most I can do is negligence. I'm not implicated." I sold my house at a low price in a hurry, gathered all the funds together, and transferred the money over. I received no response. I can only comfort myself that no news is the best news. But I was tortured all day long. This incident is like a time bomb tied to my heart. The scariest thing is that I have no idea when it will explode. More than a month later, the police finally found me. I actually felt a little relieved. The result doesn't matter anymore. When I reviewed my tray for the last time, I realized I had made the biggest mistake. I actually believed 2 liars until the last moment. I told everything. The police were not surprised. They told me that these 2 people had actually been wanted fraudsters for a long time. But they are extremely cunning. They change cities and identities every time. Fortunately, the police have obtained strong clues. It won't be long before we catch them. This is the only comforting thing I've heard in a long time. I begged the police to fulfill my last wish. I wrote a reply letter. If I don't have the chance to see them again, please be sure to hand them over to the police for me. There was only one sentence in the reply letter. "Since we will meet again eventually, I will wait for you in hell."